A very common question I get asked is how can I lower my turn count in Ark Nova? Ark Nova is a race to 100 points. Generally speaking, if you can finish the game faster in a lower amount of turns, you're more likely to win. When we look at the stats of top Ark Nova players compared to average Ark Nova players, one thing that's nearly universal is that they average a lower turn count. So we're going to start off this video by talking about some efficiency in Ark Nova, and then I'll give 4 tips to lower your turn count. When we talk about efficiency, there are sort of two main concepts behind it. There's money efficiency and action efficiency. Money efficiency is something that most players understand immediately. Ark Nova is basically a series of actions in which you're trading money into points. Playing animals is the most common way that you'll trade money into points, but then you also have things like building pavilions, donating. Donating for 2 money is very efficient. You're trading 2 money for 1 conservation point, which is an amazing trade. But something like 12 money for 1 conservation point is a poor trade. If you're doing a project like 5 Asia for 5 conservation points and it costs you 0 money, that is extremely money efficient. You've spent no money to get a lot of points. If you play a sponsor like Aquarium, you are spending no money to get points. Building a single kiosk costs you 2 money. If it's in round 1 over the course of a game, it might generate 6 or 8 or 10 money. That is money efficient. But the thing a lot of players overlook, particularly when they're starting, is that there's also the action efficiency element of it. Building a single kiosk will generate you money, but it is not action efficient. If your games last for 33 turns, 1 turn for 1 kiosk is 3% of your whole game. If you want a ridiculous example of money efficiency versus action efficiency, just imagine you have a reptile house, a Europe partner zoo, a herpetologist, and you're just playing endlessly slow worm after slow worm. It is insane value for money. You're actually getting money back with every slow worm you play. They don't take up any enclosure space, but it's very slow. If you're only playing slow worms, it's going to take you at least 25 animals actions to cross, and that's not even counting the amount of time it takes to get those cards into your hand, or the amount of time that it takes to get animals back up to strength 3 or strength 5. So those are the two main ideas when we talk about efficiency. Money efficiency and action efficiency. The break is what ties these two concepts together, which is why Ark Nova is such a great and interesting game. If you're being incredibly money efficient and you're just playing slow worm after slow worm, the break is not as important for you. You still have useful actions to take. But if you're being incredibly action efficient, like say you have large animals to play, like an elephant, then you need more money and you need the break to get that money back. So the break really dictates the speed of the game. And in a 2-player game, you have a large say over how many breaks happen or how quickly breaks happen. If you break 5, you're causing more than half of the break in a 2-player game. With enough X tokens, you can break 9, you can cause the whole break in 1 turn. If you want to lower your average turn count, the best piece of advice is just to cause the break more often. Now note, this will not necessarily lead you to more wins, but it will lower your turn count. When the break happens, both players get money. Both players get their incomes, they're snapping their 2 size rewards, everything. The more breaks that happen, the more money is in the game, and that means more money can be converted to points. So just causing a lot of breaks is one surefire way to lower your turn count. The key to actually winning more games is understanding when it's beneficial for you to cause the break, when it's neutral, or when it's beneficial for the opponent to have a break. But that is a concept that needs a whole video on its own. Second thing to lower your turn count is prioritizing your action strength correctly. The premise of this idea is that out of your 5 action cards, only 3 of them are good. Building enclosures is something we have to do to play animals, but it is not an action that gives us points, so it's not a good action. Drawing cards is something we need to do to find animals or sponsors or projects, but it does not get us points, so it's not a good action. Generally in the early game, your most important actions are sponsors and association, and then towards the end of the game, that shifts to association and animals as your important actions. Sponsors is your most important action early because you're either playing sponsors or causing the break. With your other actions, you just don't have the money or resources to be able to do them more than once. You only have 1 worker, so you can only do 1 association action. You only have enough money to play 1 or 2 animals max most of the time, so you don't need to be doing animals more than once in a round. But sponsors you can do as much as you want. If you have 4 sponsors, you could play 4 sponsors in round 1. The only thing holding you back is action strength. And if you don't have sponsors to play, then causing the break is just a really good action as well. If you can get 5 money and 1 X token from an action, that is amazing early in the game. After your animals action, your income might be 10 or 11 or 12. So if you're getting 5 money, that's a significant amount of income. But association is also important early. Even though you only have one worker, you want to make sure that you have association high to start off round 2, because at the start of round 2, often you're either going to get a second university, which lets you upgrade actions and therefore make those actions more efficient, or you're going to do a project and same thing, you get an upgrade, which makes those actions more efficient. And then that has a follow-on effect. By the time round 3 comes along, your association will be high for that round as well. So generally, we like to prioritize sponsor and association action strength. Using sponsors as a first action means it's going to be at strength 5 at turn 6 of the game. So the sooner that you use it, the higher it will cycle up every action. But sometimes things are time sensitive, and that's more important than action strength. For example, you may need to build an enclosure first move of the game to draw a card from folder 1 reputation range. You may need to take the Australia Partners View first move of the game because it's a base project and your opponent might be contesting it. You might need to snap a card first move of the game because both of you have cards at strength 5 and there's a really good card on display. So you need to do time sensitive things first, but if there's nothing time sensitive, sponsors and association take priority. Later in the game, this applies to animals and association. These are the 2 main ways that you score points in Ark Nova. Towards the end of the game, these are ideally the only 2 actions you would be taking. Say it's the start of the last round, your opponent's just caused the break. You do not want to be building, you do not want to be drawing cards, you just want to be converting all of your money into points immediately. Tip number 3 is getting the income rewards from projects. And when I say income rewards, I mean 2 size enclosure bonus and snapping a card, the 2 most important ones. And then to a lesser extent, the 5 money income. But the reason that we want to prioritize these rewards so highly is that it ties into the idea that you have 3 good actions and 2 bad actions. If you have a 2 size enclosure bonus early enough in the game, it can negate the need for you to take a build action at all. If you have enough enclosures for animals, you just might not need to build when build comes to strength 5. If you're getting additional cards every break from snapping and maybe some card draw spots on the ground, then you might just not need to do a cards action when that comes to 5. And then you have options. With build, if you don't immediately need to build an enclosure, you could build a speculative enclosure for later in the game. Very common to see players build a 5 size enclosure that's touching 2 water and a rock. That can house basically any animal in the game. And when it comes to later in the game, when you're on 80 points and you have 60 money, you'll be very happy to see it. Or if money is tight, you can simply X back build. Or if you have an animal such as a Dusky Leaf Monkey that has Clever, or a Great Hornbill that has Boost Build, you could use that to get build out of the way. Most maps have a Clever spot on them, you can use that to get build out of the way. And similar thing with cards. If it's towards the end of the game and you have everything you need to get to 100 points, then you don't need to do cards at all. And snapping helps with that. Snapping gives you a constant supply of cards to help your game plan. And the last tip is the missing puzzle piece for a lot of players, I think, but that is prioritizing point bomb animals. Point bomb animals are often both action efficient and money efficient. Well, I mean, they're certainly action efficient. The things like Giant Panda and Galapagos Tortoise that have a lot of requirements, they are actually very money efficient as well. But these are the fastest ways to get points in Ark Nova. There's no exact definition of a point bomb animal. I'd say the cutoff is around 9 points or more, but it doesn't really matter if it's 9 or 10 or 7 or 8. It's just the idea that you're spending a minimal amount of turns converting your money into points, doing that as quickly as possible. I watch a lot of replays, and everyone understands that doing a 5 CP project, like doing herbivores at 5, gives you 15 points. It's a very action efficient move, but a lot of players fail to realize that playing a Sumatran tiger gives you 14 points itself and a reputation. That's basically equivalent, except the Sumatran tiger is 10 times easier to set up and play than doing herbivores at 5 and getting 5 different herbivore tags. The only difference is the money aspect. Sumatran tiger costs you 30 odd money while the project is free. So when I say prioritizing, it does mean that you have to sort of shift your gameplay a little bit. Instead of snapping up a European badger to help you do Europe 2, it could just be more important to snap up a Galapagos tortoise that's playable for you. Badger plus Europe 2 as a project is 9 points, Galapagos tortoise is 14 points. So when you're doing these little calculations in your head, trying to decide which cards to keep during the break or which cards to snap, assign them at a higher value than you normally would. But that is it. Hopefully these tips help with your efficiency. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I will answer them. Thanks for watching and good luck.